Hey everybody, I'm NBC Connecticut's First Alert meteorologist Darren Sweeney. This is First Alert Feature Radar, and no problems or issues as you head through your Saturday. There's going to be plenty of time to get your errands done before the storm arrives. Could be a flurry in the northeast corner. That is not a storm. That is a northeasterly wind pulling in a little moisture off the Atlantic. The main batch of snow gets in here 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock this evening, and then it begins to expand and intensify. This is going to be our accumulation right here. Once we flip over to some ice and rain and some sleet, the accumulation comes to an end. That's why we're going to keep amounts way down with this storm system. North of us, where it stays all snow, 10 to 20 inches of snow easily. But notice here we pull in some warmer air. I do think the valley locations, it's going to be tough to scour out this cold air, so we'll be flirting with 31, 32 degrees for quite some time. And notice we never really lose the mix in the hill towns where we could have some significant icing and perhaps even a couple of scattered power outages there, but I don't think it's a widespread issue. And by tomorrow morning, we wrap things up, but then we pull in some cold air on the backside of the storm. So wind will be an issue once we head into the storm, and especially tomorrow morning. Notice here by tomorrow morning, we have some wind gusts, 20 to 30 miles per hour, perhaps along the shoreline, approaching 40 miles per hour as that storm passes very close to us. So here's the range, and it's quite a range. I think some towns in the southeastern corner of the state, you may wake up tomorrow morning and most of the snow is washed away, maybe an inch or two. So focus on the lower end amounts of these ranges here. I think 4 inches is a good bet across a good chunk of the state. We could get into the 7-inch range in the Northwest Hills, but that may be held down just a little bit with, again, the mixing, which will be working pretty quickly to the north and the west. First Alert exclusive 10-day forecast, another First Alert for Monday. That's for brutal cold. We've got winds that'll be gusting and temperatures struggling through the single digits. That puts our wind chills well below zero. Luckily, it's a holiday, so the kids won't be at the bus stop. And then Tuesday, it's a typical winter day, cold, but mid-20s. And then a weaker system comes through here on Wednesday and Thursday. I think less of a mix along the shoreline over to rain, and temperatures that'll climb through the 30s. And again, southeastern Connecticut may see a temperature of 40 degrees for a time tomorrow morning. And then on Tuesday, we'll quiet things down. Updates on this storm all throughout the weekend on our NBC Connecticut app, NBCConnecticut.com. Make it a great rest of your Saturday.
We can videotape his testimony. And he was coached. He just shoved a crayon.
Good early Saturday afternoon to you all. I'm going to give you a little update on our preparations for the storm, and I've been watching the weather guesses. According to the weather guesses, in this part of the state, we're supposed to get rain. It's supposed to go 35 to 40, but we're worried about ice, of course. Now, all these jugs here that I'm going to have to get rid of and dump the water out because they're all split or swelled up and frozen solid. So in the summertime, not a problem. Now, I'm going to repeat myself because some of you may not know. When we lose power here, we have no water because the park has 2 artesian wells, and when the power goes down, the water goes down. So even though I've got a generator, we've got no way to flush the toilets. So as I showed in the beginning of this video, you see all the water we had to collect. So I just took those 5-gallon buckets, some are 4 gallons, filled them up here yesterday, and brought them into the house. In addition, I went to my hardware store and got 60 pounds of sand. Cost $5 for 60 pounds of general purpose sand, and dumped it in here. I had sand in here, but I figured I'll probably add some more. And then what I did is I removed, okay, this is keeps the door tight. That's what that is for. Okay, coffee cans with fresh sand, and I removed all this frozen jugs that were ready to burst. When they thaw out, they're going to leak all over. All these jugs here are frozen solid, but they're not hurting anything. So there's no point in taking up good space for bottles that I can't use. So there's 3 containers of sand here, and the reason for that is simply because this whole area here, if it gets icy and I need to get into my gen house, which I started the generator yesterday, started right up on the first pull. I keep the tank filled right to the top, so no condensation. And I use Extra Stable, which, by the way, I'm all out, so I will have to buy more. I've got a total of 11 gallons of gas and a full gas tank in the generator. So when this gets all icy, I'm going to need to take from those bottles there and sprinkle sand all the way around. We won't be using the snowblower, but that's ready to go, and I started that yesterday. If we get rain and it freezes up, I put a coating of sand on the ramp here. So I'm really preparing as much as I can, so I'm not worried about electronic videos or anything else. Because 9 out of 10 times we lose power here. We did last time when we had snow. This could be even worse. My concern is if we lose power for more than several days and I cannot get out, if it's all icy and the car doors are frozen totally, so I can't get into them, and we run out of gas, we'll literally freeze to death. All these bottles here are all frozen solid. But I've got quite a few jugs in the house and in the other bathroom, which I didn't show. So I've got another 11 in the house besides what I showed you. Unlike the winter of last year, where there was a day we had snow, but the snow was melting off the roof and I had my jugs, 5-gallon cans being filled up from the snow drip off there. This is not going to happen this time around. So we have to keep the water in the house, and there's only so much. And again, I want to repeat that this is for flushing the toilets. Over here is my usual bucket, and I also purchased another $5 bag, 60-pound bag of sand to go into here, because this was about 1/4 full. So this will take care of the driveway and the front areas here. And fresh sand here, of course. I went to Walmart and bought another de-icer, although that stuff works for a thin coat of ice. It doesn't do much for heavy ice. And an ice chipper, which I've had. Now, what happens when we get rain and it freezes? This totally freezes up. You can't open it. And you don't want to force it. I thought of getting a tarpaulin and covering the whole car, but you can't do that with the antenna sticking up like that. So we really can't do anything. If it gets real bad and I can't get into the car, like if I need to get gas, if I got an extended power outage, like I say, we're going to be screwed, blued, and tattooed. So just hope that doesn't happen, and hopefully we don't lose power. On the big van, well, we can't do much about that. John from Arkansas was going to do his weather stripping on the Thunderbird. I have no idea how much of a job it is to put insulation in here. In other words, replace this, because this is wet, and when I put plastic bags down over the top of this, all it does is just keep the water on the carpet, and it makes it worse. So it's an ongoing problem. Both the driver's side and the passenger side doors apparently leak straight down, although I've never seen it happen because I'm not in here when it's pouring rain. and goes right on the carpet, so the carpet's wet there. I put napkins up underneath the where the heater box is on the passenger side, and those stay dry, so it's obviously coming from the doors. That's 90% of the leaks that are in here is from the door seals, and they look good. They look good, but they're just pushed in a little. But I'm not going to worry about the big van. It's got a full tank of gas, so I keep the condensation out of that too. But that's all I can do here. You know, like most people, they have a well pump, and when you run out of power, you know, when you lose power, you run a generator and you run the well pumps. Well, in my case, or our case I should say, that's not an option for us. We can run the power with the generator, but that's not going to do any good for water. So the water is needed to flush the toilets. You know, it wouldn't be very good to have your toilet bowl load up with crap, would it?
Yeah, you did it again to me, you piece of work.
So, in closing, I'm as prepared as I can be. The generator runs great. So anyways, that's really all I'm doing right now. We're hoping for the best. You know, it was a little investment. We stocked up on gas. We stocked up on sand, which is, like I say, $10 worth of sand, not a big deal, but, you know, because this whole area, if it becomes a skating rink out here, I need to get out here and get the generator going if we do lose power, because without the generator, you will not have heat. And we do have heating, all mobile homes have heating tape on the pipes, of course, but if we lose power, well, our pipes will not freeze. The pipe that goes from the little 4-foot deep well that's under the trailer, there's a shut-off valve there, and then there's a water line coming in with heat tape and insulation on it. And as long as we have power, that heat tape is activated and running at all times. It's temperature sensor in it, and it goes on when the temperature goes below 32 or whatever it's set for. So, well, the rest of the mobile homes, unless they have a generator, are not going to be so lucky. So we don't know what will happen, but I just thought I'd give you an update on that. So I'm prepared, and hopefully I'll never have to run it. But it's better to have it when you need it than to need it and not have it. Thanks for watching. That's the update, and when we get through with all this, if you don't see me online, because if we lose power, the TV runs. The UPSs don't like the generator, so they keep clicking all the time, and unless I plug directly in, so we don't use our computers when we're on the generator. We just use it to keep heat going, so lights and the TV. So if you don't see me on, you'll know we lost power, and I'll be back, provided we survive this. Biggest worry is ice collecting on trees and trees falling on the house or the cars. That's the biggest worry, worse than losing power.